Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's your boy SoSo, in case you ain't know so, and welcome back to another dope episode of Sports with SoSo. Coming to you live, y'all. This week, UFC 287 was definitely a banger here in Miami. Jon Rahm wins the 87th Masters with an impressive comeback. The Heat, they survive into the 7th seed to make the playoffs, and we recap the rest of the sports weekend. It's time to take a ride, y'all. Let's go! And we're back. Another dope Sports with SoSo on the deck.
What episode is this, dog?
This is 133, 132. We're up in the 130s now, dog. It's hard to keep count.
It is. That's why I asked. Welcome back, everybody.
That's the consistency.
That's what it does.
Yes, sir.
It does. How was everybody's weekend? How was your weekend, sir?
It was good, man. Full of excitement in sports, you know, even nationally, obviously, and with our local teams too. Just being able to watch anything and have some type of interest into that. Like, yeah, UFC down here this weekend. It was just a great weekend, right? Because I'm a sports guy, so if you enjoy sports as much as I do, you definitely got your money's worth this weekend.
Oh yeah, definitely.
What about you?
You had the Masters going on, and you had playoff implicated basketball and hockey and baseball's kicking off, and you had the Easter weekend just happened.
Oh, hey, it's a jam-packed weekend, dog.
You know, literally. So how do you look your family in the face and say, hey, I cannot hang out with you on Easter because there's way too much going on.
Yeah. I mean, you got to. That's why you buy a bunch of TVs, right? And you put them all over the house,
and then you bring everybody over.
And you're like, guys, don't worry, I'll host. Trust me.
Every conversation you're in, you got a good vantage point.
Exactly. That's how you do it.
That's
dog.
like a degenerate gambler.
That's how you do it. Or you don't go anywhere. And you're like, I'm not feeling too well. I'm just gonna stay home today, you know. But I sent the Easter basket on an Uber.
Yeah, I got some food poisoning last night, but it's on the way.
It's on the way. Don't worry about the Uber.
I'm sorry, Mr. Egg Hunt.
Send me pictures.
Send me pictures, please.
I'll Photoshop myself in there
while I watch the Masters.
Yeah, man. I mean,
it was perfect though. It was perfect. We did it all the egg hunt, all that stuff early in the day, and then literally right when we ended it, just started pouring, and it was like, wow, perfect timing. When we decided to end everything, and then came home and. Sure enough, just turned on the TV, watched the Masters and everything. So it was a very low-key weekend, but, you know, very eventful.
Very, very eventful, man. And we got to talk about the biggest event that happened this weekend here locally. UFC coming back after 20 years. Dog, in 2003. We're talking about Matt Hughes fighting Sean Shirk in the championship, dog.
Wild.
Matt Hughes, dog.
I saw Dana White posted something in the press conference. He talked about they made like $500,000 20 years ago when they came.
Yeah.
I think that was like their gross revenue.
Yeah.
They just cleared like 11.5 million or something like that in one night.
Sold the whole thing out. And when I went to the press conference on Thursday, right, because I got to go check that out, it was a lot of fans there, dog. Granted, you know, it was people still walking in, and like even when the crowd came out, you're talking about over 500 people that were there, dog, to watch a press conference. And then Friday at the actual, not the actual weigh-in, because, you know, they do that behind the scenes with the media only, and then they do a ceremonial weigh-in. And that shit was packed too. So that just gave me a vibe that like this weekend meant a lot to not only the people who like to come to events, but the hardcore MMA fans, you know, that want to come out here and see some good fights.
Yeah, bro, and everything that was going on around it. I know that there was events going on all around downtown, Brickell, Wynwood.
Bro,
I know somebody was doing something at Grails. Yeah, bro.
Shout out to Grails. That's, again, showing you that the market is dying for this type of events. You know what I mean? There's plenty of cool places to have them, right? Izzy was doing a signing and like meet and greet at a shoe store down here, which happens to be owned by one of his good friends. Like, those are things that are very Miami, right? When you think about it. And the UFC recognized that it's very marketable down here, and they need to be able to take advantage of that. And I think they did that this weekend, dog. Saturday was packed, Joel, up to the 400s, dog. Like, that I'm looking up at them, you know?
Right.
And dog, I didn't think that I would ever see that unless it's like a championship game, a game 6, a game 7, you know, playoffs. But I mean, everybody there to watch UFC, dog. Wow.
First time in 20 years, bro. And there's a lot. You look at the people that fight and where they fight out of. I mean, they fight out of here. Out of Boca, you know, out of Pompano, like
Coconut
Creek, they're just up the road. So it's like, bro, all their family, everybody want, you know, like it's an event, and it shows that like it's worth doing it here. Yeah. And I think they're going to do it here more often.
Yeah, he definitely announced that they're going to be bringing it back. You know, within 5 years, they're going to have another UFC event here, or maybe 2, because it makes sense. Right? The dollars make sense. The money that they made on this weekend was incredible. It goes beyond Saturday, right? Because like you said, there were all these type of UFC sponsored events that they're putting up investment in that are paying dividends, right? Because people go, they buy merch, they want to stand in line for an hour to go meet Justin Gaethje. You know what I mean?
The beverage,
all of that,
parking,
all of that. You know what I'm saying? So they're able to show the city, hey, look at this impact that we have when we're here. Makes it a lot easier to have more fights here. And like you said, the amount of elite fighters, right, throughout all the weight classes, elite fighters that train down here, live down here. That just makes it even more sense. That's like boxing being in Las Vegas. 80% of the boxers that are fighting consistently either live in Vegas or live very close to Vegas.
Right.
So just shows you it makes sense. Saturday night was incredible. They put a great card together. Even the prelims. You and I were talking about it, that Kevin Gastelum fight at the end.
The final prelim.
The final prelim.
That actually was, I would argue, was better than a couple of the cards, you know, fights on the main card.
Yeah. Definitely more exciting.
It was a brawl all the way to the end. The only thing that we disagreed with when we were watching it live was they gave it to him unanimously.
Yeah, it wasn't that.
And we didn't think if one of them scored at 30-27, and we didn't agree with that. Like we would have thought he won, but like it was very, very even, bro. That fight, especially that third round, Curtis put a hurting on him. And
Curtis is a dude who can end the fight like that, you know. And the fact that Kevin withstood all that shit, bro, shows you what type of warrior Kevin is, bro.
He's a beast. He can eat a bunch of punches, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah. And you know, part of the excitement of the card was the first fight on the main card, which was Raul Rosas Jr., the Mexican 18-year-old, taking on a veteran fighter in Christian Rodriguez, who's young, but he's also full of fight experience. And that kid does bring a lot of excitement and a lot of fans. I was talking to you about it, you know, like the Mexican fan base definitely showed up and showed out because there were a lot of Mexican flags being flown, like people representing the country, like cheering for these guys, and it was impressive to see for me, right? And Raul got a lot of love, you know, but Christian had a lot of people there too, you know, again, people driving down from Coconut Creek to come see their boy fight on a main card on UFC, right? Like,
yep, and he dominated him.
And he dominated
him. He really, you know, showed that Rosas is who we thought he was. You know, an inexperienced younger fighter that has potential, but
lots of potential.
He is still, you know, he's not ready. I don't think. Especially that was wild. We were talking about that too. Like the fact we were talking. You know, there's white privilege. We kept having the conversation about Dana White privilege, and if you're in the good graces of Dana White, or Dana White sees you as like a passion project or something like that, like you're gonna get more love. Second fight in the UFC. Honestly, does that kid deserve to be on a main card pay-per-view like that? You know, the story behind it argues yes, and the social media aspect and all that stuff and whatever. But you look at the result of it, and it's like that kid, you know, is that really the best fighter that, you know, should have fought him?
I mean, if you look at the level of competition that he's facing, I think it answers the questions of yes. You know, because let's say he went and tried to get the choke on Christian early, right, and had him pretty much beat the first round. He was up on the card. He was able to take him down, had multiple attempts to try to choke him out, like rear naked chokes.
He controlled that first round.
Completely, right? So you see him and you're like, damn, he can kind of hang with this guy. Can he sustain it, though? Where is his experience level at, right? Because the kid was in shape. Even in the third round, when he knew he's losing, you know, 30 seconds left, this kid's still trying for multiple takedowns, shooting, getting back up, shooting, getting back up, shooting. Like,
right, but that shows the inexperience in the overall aspect of what is UFC, where you have to be able to, like, okay, I can't take him down anymore. I got to strike. I got to throw something, you know, and you weren't seeing that from him. He's very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And that was my argument, you know what I mean? Like,
but sometimes if you're great,
night, I should say.
If you're great in that one dimension, right, then you'll stand out.
But that's a different story.
His amateur status definitely was up on that level. The only difference, in my opinion, is his age. Because being that 19. Young is, like you said, 18 years old, 19 years old, being that young, it's hard for somebody to believe that you have the right level of experience. But we've seen a bunch of players who are young in basketball, right, go out there and assert themselves. Maybe not be the best in the league. That kid's not ready to be a champion. Far from it, right? But the promise of him being close,
but they can hang, is what you're saying.
Exactly.
They can at least hang. That's fine, but this is the fight. But this is the fight game.
Yeah,
this isn't a game where you can just hang. You gotta win. You gotta win, though, Papa. Yeah. And you gotta win, and you can only take a certain amount of damage.
Yeah,
excuse me. And he might have not taken that much damage because he wasn't.
He took some more. He was on the floor.
He absolutely
in that
did.
Round.
He absolutely did. But like there was a lot more grappling and wrestling that went down in that fight versus striking and. That could be argued, but still, the whole point is like this is fighting. It's a little bit different. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you really truly got to be ready because you don't want to, especially if you're underdeveloped. If you're not fully developed yet and stuff. Like you.
But look, he's got us talking.
No, for sure.
So
he was on a pay-per-view fight.
Exactly. So I think again, the UFC doesn't make mistakes when it comes to signing talent. They've always found a way to get the best talent to come fight for them. And this is just probably one of those early moves to say, you know what, I don't want this guy fighting in freaking Pride or somewhere else. I'm going to sign this guy, and I'm going to throw him out here and see what he does.
Yeah, well, he goes down.
Shout out to Christian because you know what? He looked really good in that fight. He showed the young man a lesson or two multiple times, and he looked very sharp in his win. Won unanimous, and I thought that was the right decision. He was
down the first round, and he did enough in the second and third round to be able to get the decision.
Yeah.
And it was well-deserved. Everybody knew at that, it was like, okay, we know who won this fight for sure.
Yeah, we definitely know who won the second fight, too, between Kevin Holland and Santiago.
So this is where things started heating up in the card.
Yeah.
Kevin Holland, man.
That guy, let me tell you, bro, he looks like he's a real dude because at the press conference when I saw him, like, he was very relaxed, They were asking him, like, certain questions, and he'll be like, nah, I can't say nothing because my boss is right here, but, guys know how I feel about him and stuff like that. So that's a reference to not only the other welterweights in his division, but, like, specific dudes, right? And for him to call people out without really even calling people out, it just shows you like how real he is. He's not that dude that he's trying to sell a fight and then in the street he's gonna say what's up to you and be friendly. Nah, he is who he says he is. And Santiago found that out the hard way. That first round they were both trying to feel each other out. They were both trying to like connect punches, but it's something that I told my brother. I told Jose, I was like, man, this dude when he hit him. There was a definite difference, dog, in like how it sounded and how the dude was taking that impact. I'm not saying that he was shook up every time that Kevin punched him in the face, but every time he punched him in the face, it hurt him, and you can tell that it's demoralizing him at the same time, right? Because he's moving back, now he's more conscious, and then like his confidence is just fading. And then in the second round, dog, this dude just went, see ya later, dog. Kevin landed that right hook, and that was it, dog. He stunned him. Well, he went down to the ground.
It was crazy because he got up after and he was like, "What do you mean? Like, why'd you stop the fight?" To the referee, and I don't think he realized that his face broke his fall.
Yeah,
because dog, he knocked him out. He was out, and then his face like just boom straight to the floor.
Probably
and then
woke him up.
He still doesn't get up immediately or try to defend. Holland gave him one, and then was like, "Yo, is this dude out?" Like they were like, "Yo," they called it. But he knew, like, he was out. And then all of a sudden, like, he just kind of reactivated again. It's like, homie, you need a second.
You went me for a second. So we got to wait for you to be able to get your legs under you. And that's how vicious that game is, that sport. I was super impressed by how these guys even strike at that level, dog. These guys are throwing kicks that the crowd's not even seeing, but the guy's like dodging it or blocking.
Right.
And then after the guy misses, everybody's like, oh. And that was one of those things. When Kevin hit him, it was like, oh. He caught him and everybody heard it. And the excitement through the building went immediately sky high, dog.
Raw
as hell, dog. What a great knockout. I'm dying to see who he fights next.
Well, that's the interesting thing.
I'm dying to see who he fights next.
In his post-fight interview with Rogan, he called out Masvidal, but as we know, as we'll get to, Masvidal officially has retired.
Well, he won't be fighting anytime soon, man. Not like that.
So I mean, I don't know who's gonna. There's a number of guys there that he can challenge. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And then what's crazy is like, again, boom, you get the quick fight from Kevin Holland, and he puts on a hell of a performance, right? You're like, man, how's somebody going to be able to top that? Here comes Rob Font against Adrian Yanez, and this dude was just lightning quick. These small guys, bro, those are the guys that are even more fucking dangerous in the streets, dog, because they look like, this guy's not that threatening, and then boom, knocks you out.
Did this one win the knockout of the night?
Damn, you know what? I didn't check that. Let me
look it up.
Yeah. But Rob Font, dog, the Puerto Rican, come out here and put on a show in front of his people, dog. Gets in a first round knockout of, again, he hit Adrian, and it looked like Adrian's confidence was shook. Again, where I was sitting, right? I was in the 300s, and you can hear every single punch. You can hear every single kick being checked. Like, you hear that shit. So that just lets you know, like, damn, that one hurt him. This one didn't. This one definitely hurt him. And you see the guys get stunned, and it's instantaneously. Like, the guy's stunned before the crowd even reacts. That's how fast it happens, dog. Right. And Rob laced him up, dog. Laced him up, put him to sleep. I barely even had time to get my drink, though.
Bro, it was good. It was good because you could tell he's scrappy, bro. And he had lost his last 2 fights, I'm pretty sure, Rob Font.
Yeah.
So it's a huge moment for him to get this knockout, boom, all of a sudden, and just take him out. I think he did get a bonus for that night for that knockout, awesome, as a matter of fact.
I'm glad he got
deserved.
it.
Very well deserved.
Very, very, very. And then I just think that he's one of those dudes that you're glad you saw him fight in person, because he might be fighting for the title soon. And when he's fighting for that title, or at least a number one contender, you're like, damn, this guy might get some good action here because of how good he is. What an amazing performance.
How old is Rob Font?
I think, let's see, I have it right here. Hold on. He's not that old. Well, you know me, I'm old, so I don't.
He's
think
35,
anybody,
bro.
Yeah,
he's up there, bro. That's why.
That's why I asked, dog. What you mean?
Nah, that's fighting age, bro. I mean, Masvidal's retiring now at what, 38, 39?
Yeah, 38.
You know what I mean? That's what sounds about right.
That's a sign.
That sounds about right. Your body starts breaking down and shit. There's only so much you can do.
Yeah.
Legally.
Yeah.
You know, that USADA knows of.
Well, look, let's get to it. The Jorge Masvidal fight versus Gilbert Burns. Man, I really had high hopes for George to say, like, maybe this is the one that he really puts all his heart into and goes for it. But Gilbert Burns is a very dangerous welterweight, dog. He's a dude who is pretty much in his prime right now, kind of a guy who has explosive power, right? Can definitely submit anybody. And he's been riding a good streak so far, you know, and the people that he's lost to, right, have been champions or people challenging the champion, you know. So I don't want to say he's a gatekeeper for that role, but that's just the level that he's at, right? He's fighting with the elites of the elite. In my opinion, right, George went out there with a good game plan, but even when he connected, he had no pop behind his punches, dog. And I know that Gilbert's gotten rocked before, so he doesn't have like this amazing chin, right? That's not what Gilbert is known for. But George just didn't have the pop, and Burns had that pop. So every time that Burns caught George, right, he hurt him. Boom, demoralizing. Your confidence shook, and now your energy is lower because now you know that you're losing, and I'm beating you up at the same time. You know. It kind of sucks, right? Because you didn't want George to go out like that.
You don't. But
the power was too much from Gilbert.
But you also didn't want him to go out like that.
Yeah.
Get knocked out and go out. You know what I mean? Like, bro, imagine there's no more fights after that. Like, then he gets knocked out, and he doesn't come back. And it's like, that's kind of sad. He at least went the distance. But I'll be completely honest with you. You know, going into this fight, I wasn't too, enthusiastic about, putting my money on George. because of the fact that, you know, it seemed like that. You know, it kind of seemed like he was kind of on a downward trend. He got beat, he's gotten beat up by Kobe. He lost to Usman. Like, it hasn't been pretty for him these last few fights. And Gilbert is good, man. Like, he's a good fighter. He, like you said, he's in great shape. He looked bigger. I don't know if he looked bigger than him to you guys out there.
He just looked more cut.
He looks huge, bro, compared to George.
Yeah.
And
huge.
They're pretty equal in like styles and whatnot, but again, just pop and power. Like, you're gonna give that to Burns looking at the two, and I just felt like Burns might have been holding back a little bit. Here's a hot take.
Okay,
my hot take
this shit is hot.
I feel like Masvidal, let him know what's up, yo, homie. Look, check me out.
Here's the deal.
UFC's coming back to Miami. I know there's a lot of Brazilians out there. You know what I'm saying?
Let's sell this shit out.
This is my hometown. Let's sell the fuck out of this. Right? Make bank, bro. Let's make bank, bro. All right? But just don't knock me out, please, because I'm not trying to go out like that in my hometown in front of my peoples.
I mean, look, Gilbert hasn't really knocked nobody out for a while, right? So I don't think that he's known for that. But he can, and definitely does. Excuse me. He definitely has the ability to end the fight quickly via choke. And I think that George did not want to go to the ground at all with him because he knew he was going to lose that battle immediately. Mm-hmm. So George probably was willing to trade with him a little bit more, right? And stand in front of him, circle away, maybe let him punch him so that George might have an opportunity to counter him and really rock him. And he really didn't. George didn't get that chance at all. Gilbert fought a perfect fight, all 3 rounds. He did. Dominated George.
Dominated him beginning to end.
Beginning to end. And you know, George said it on the podcast, on Joe Rogan's podcast. Hey, I'm not going to be no stepping stone. When I know that I can't do it anymore, I'm done. You know, and it kind of felt like he kind of knew he was losing his power, but he wanted to test himself and see with a guy who he can knock out, if he can knock him out. And he couldn't. So George said, you know what? I'm calling it a quiz here in Miami, in my hometown, after headlining. Like, I'm not going to be no gatekeeper. I'm not going to be a guy that people just use as a stepping stone. Definitely has a rags to riches type story. Has his boxing promotion. Yep. Still trains at American Top Team. So, you know, he's going to have fighters coming up through that.
He even shouted out Trump, who's sitting in the front row.
Yeah, bro.
I feel like Trump was there mainly because of him.
Absolutely.
I mean, we know he has ties with Masvidal and all. I mean, with Dana White and all that stuff. But still, like, him and Masvidal also had ties too, right?
For sure, he knew that guy was going to be there. I was like, let me go by and see what's up with this guy's doing. But yeah, I just think that George knew it was time to bow out, and he did it luckily on his feet. Yeah, you know, in front of his home crowd, and he got the love that he deserved and got some respect too, you know, from Gilbert. And look, again, I just think that Gilbert is on another level right now, dog. This dude is fighting a 2-fight win streak so far this year. His last loss was to Khamzat, who's a killer, right? Mm-hmm. And then before that, he had won against Steve Wonderboy Thompson, and then lost to Usman for the belt. I think this dude is next in line for a title shot. He's in the mix. He's in the mix. Seeing what happens with Colby and Leon Edwards now is going to be interesting. Obviously, because George is not going to fight either one of those guys. I don't know about Colby. He might be brought back for that one more time.
George?
Yeah, right?
Nah, I don't think he was coming back, dog.
Maybe. For another Colby fight?
Nah, I don't think so.
Know. You never know.
Maybe because of the beef that's there, but
that's what I'm saying.
He'll catch a payday, but I don't think I think deep down he knows he can't like compete anymore. Right. You know what I mean? That's why he's calling it quits, dog.
Yeah, rightfully so. Shout out to George, man.
Shout out to George, bro. Hell of a career, game, bro.
Yeah. Way to represent, dog. Let's get to the main event of the evening. By the way, dog, I just said that and it reminds me of one thing, dog. This dude Buffer, what's his name? Bruce Buffer. This dude has all my respect in the fucking world.
Oh, yeah, because you got to hear it live?
Not only did I get to hear it live, dog, but sitting down, right, I'm drinking, I'm chilling with Joel. Shout out to Joel, shout out to Sergio, and shout out to Delphin and Devin and Jesse, who were all in the building too, man. All you guys. It was dope. But we're there talking, and before the fight gets, like, the fighters are getting ready to come out, like, you look down there and you see this dude, like, stretching, moving his back, like, you know, like hyping himself up, going over his notes as the fighter's walking in, and boom. And then like when he brings it, dog, he's not just doing it for you because you're in the main event. He's doing it because he loves that shit, dog. And he gets such excitement, dog, from saying those people's name that I thought his head was going to explode, dog. Like, you could see his face getting super red from the top because of how hard he's going in for this introduction. So see it like you see it on TV and it's one thing, right?
No, it's pretty hype when you see it on TV, dog.
Yeah, for sure, right?
It hypes me up every time.
For sure, right? And then imagine that shit in live, dog. And he goes, it's time! Bro, everybody's saying that shit at the same time, dog. Bro.
Fighting out of the red corner!
Mixed martial arts, Jorge, and that place is blowing up.
By way of Miami, Florida.
Because
bro, that shit's hype.
I'm getting chills right now,
bro, that shit's hype. You see it on TV,
I'm never gonna
I
forget
can only
that shit.
imagine,
I'm
bro.
telling you.
I can only imagine.
And he's the one who fucking flips the switch of the electricity, dog. Right. He's the one, dog. Bruce Buffer has all my respect in the world, dog.
He's the breaker.
He's the one, dog. He's the one, man. Wow, dog. What a master of his craft.
So this intro for this main fight,
bro, was electric, dog. Because Izzy, usually he's known for his style and doing something flashy. This dude and he was the challenger, but he came out, dog, no games. This was the first time in a real long time that he doesn't come out and doesn't have like a little intro or something like that. Or this dude came out and walked straight to the fucking ring, dog. And in my mind, I was like, oh shit, this dude's ready to die for sure tonight because he's going out there to get this dub no matter what. And then I see Alex Pereira walk out, dog. And he, like, the spotlight's on him, so obviously it's him, dog, but that dude is massive. He is a big motherfucker, dog. The fact that you can see him from far and he still stands out against everybody else that's security, quote unquote, walking around him, like, was crazy. And when he does that shit where he brings the arrows, dog, like, that place was going crazy. And again, Bruce Buffer comes in and sets the tone for the evening, dog, and he hypes these guys up so much. And I feel like the fight had so much electricity because the moment it went off, dog, everybody was cheering. They were cheering the whole round, dog, the whole round. And that first round was exciting, too, because both these guys were, like, kind of feeling each other out, but they were like, we're not going to waste time, right? Like, this touchy shit. I'm going to try to hit you because I already know your game plan. I know what your power is, all of that, and vice versa. So let's just get it on. And they were trying to execute their game plans, and it didn't really work. It looked like Izzy really was a little bit behind the pace of what Alex was bringing, right? Obviously, Alex was dominating the center of the octagon. But Izzy looked comfortable. He looked very confident in his striking ability to say, I can stand with this dude. I got to do a good job of dodging him, right? Because he's obviously much bigger than I am right now. And I have the power or the timing to knock him out. First round was pretty much a draw. Maybe you give it to Izzy because he landed more punches. But every time this dude, Alex, would get close to landing or did land a shot, it was a big shot. And you could tell that it was a hard shot to Izzy. It wasn't phasing him, but it definitely drained his battery. You know what I mean? Like, you see his percentage go from 100% to 96%. He just, yeah, like that, like in a video game. Boom, second round. Alex felt like, all right, I'm asserting myself here. I have the opportunity to push forward. I'm going to try to do that this round. He did a good job of really pushing the pace the second round to say, all right, he probably won the first round, that Izzy won the first round. Now I'm going to go out and win the second round. But I think that Izzy was prepared for that because it kind of happened in the second fight too, where Alex came out, the first UFC fight, where Alex came out in the second round.
Because this is now the fourth time that they fought professionally. Right?
Yes. And in that first time in the UFC, Alex came out a little bit more assertive in the second round. And he kind of threw Izzy off his game plan for a little bit in that first fight. This time, Izzy had kind of game planned for it because Alex did come out much stronger. He came out much more aggressive. And he was throwing more kicks. And he felt like he was going to be able to work the body to bring Izzy's hands down and then finish him off. And Izzy fucking baited him, dog. He baited him into bringing him closer. He kind of like pushed back against the fence and was absorbing some of the punches that Alex was throwing. And he timed it so perfectly that the moment Alex was stepping back, he was already coming with an overhand right. Boom, right on the temple, caught Alex by complete surprise, completely turned his body to the right. You know what I mean? Again, I'm from my vantage point, I can see his whole body turn right, and I'm like, oh shit, he's gonna go down. And then Izzy catches him with another overhand right, drops him. hits his head on the mat even harder, and I think that's what put him out. And then, of course, Izzy, he had to get those 2 extra shots. You know what I mean? Like, yo, fuck you. You beat me twice. I'm gonna try to beat the crap out of you. Give him 2 quick hammer fists, and they called it. And I think it was a hell of a performance and a real showmanship of perseverance, dog, because this dude had beat him 3 straight times, knocked him out twice, like you know what I mean?
The last fight, Izzy had knocked him down, and then the round got stopped. So like it was very, very similar in the way that he finished him this time around, and he didn't. He went on to go lose that fight later on in the 5th round or the final round, right? I think that's when he ended up getting knocked out or whatever. And he wasn't letting that happen this time. He did. He looked extremely focused. He looked like he was on a mission. Like you said, he's usually flashy, trying to, being show-offy and all that. But he reverted. He was like, nope, I'm not at the top. I'm not going to, I want that again. He had that hunger again. And that's always the question when you're at the top. It's like, you're going to be able to sustain that because, you already reached that. Now somebody else is hungry, then you're just coming.
Right.
Oh, he had a new reason. You know what I mean? He got knocked off the top. So he looked like he was back on that mission. And it was interesting in that second round, man, because when we were watching it, we felt like there was favoritism. Obviously, the UFC likes him a lot. There's a lot of fans of Israel Adesanya, the style bender, everything that he encompasses and what he's been able to do. He's going to go down as one of the greatest of all time in this sport, and he's still got a long way to go.
Yep.
But we were, we're like, man, they're not even talking about, anything Pereira's doing, everything that Izzy does. They're like, oh, nice jab, nice this, nice that. And then right there, boom, Pereira hits him with one. Yeah. And we're like, look at that. They're not even saying anything about that. And then he has him up against the fence, and he's going kind of teeing off a little bit. And we're like, oh shit, Izzy's in trouble. And then 1 second to the other, dude, it was just, he kind of just hit him with a little left check. And then that opened up that right as he was stepping back. Caught him, he stunned him, and then the other one was the final blow. It was awesome. It was electric. It was awesome in the living room here with 10 people. I can only imagine with thousands of people around me, bro. I mean,
it was crazy.
That must have been pandemonium.
It was crazy. And you know what? I'm glad that you brought that up because in the arena, when Alex was landing his shots, dog, the crowd was reacting to it every single time. So they were definitely, let's say, split. They were 50-50. You know what I mean? Like half the crowd wanted Izzy, half the crowd wanted Alex. And both of these guys, whenever they landed something or got a real good shot off, the crowd anticipated it and either booed it or clapped for it. You know what I mean? So the crowd was definitely engaged. And Alex is a hell of a warrior, bro, because that guy walks around at 220, man. We talked about it. And for him to make 185, dog,
that's so wild. That's not healthy.
That's not healthy, dog. So, kind of after a fight, a lot of the tweets and shit and the talk around the arena with the rest of the people who are fans of the UFC was, does he go into light heavyweight?
He should.
Right? And fight a guy like John Plotkovich, who's a dude who's coming back. He lost to Jamal Hill, So probably a good fight for Proshek to come back to. Let's see. But Alex definitely shouldn't be fighting at 185. No, Izzy definitely owns 185. Yeah. Becomes the first 2-time middleweight champion in UFC history, right? And became the fourth of 15 fighters to regain the belt on an immediate rematch.
Yeah, bro.
Like a back-to-back fight.
That dude, bro.
Yeah, he's that dude. And Usman couldn't pull that off because he fought Leon Edwards twice and lost twice.
And lost twice.
So, yeah, man, shout out to Izzy for putting on a great fight. Shout out to the UFC and Dana White for putting on an amazing card in
Miami, man.
The prelims were on fire. Early prelims were fire, too.
The final prelim, the Gastelum fight, won fight of the night.
Yeah, dog. It deserved it. It absolutely deserved it, dog.
Every week, bro. Every time they put one on, bro, it's always a great time.
Yeah.
And then this time, it just brought out all the stars. You're in Miami. It brings out all the stars. It just makes it even more of a spectacle.
Hell yeah.
So, you said that they're going to try to bring it back in the next few years. If that's not Dana White's top priority to bring another UFC back in the next 2 years,
yeah, for sure,
then he's doing something wrong.
I think he will. He knows the potential out here. There's a ton of Brazilian, ton of Argentinian people, tons of people from Mexico, ton of people from South America in general, You throw a Puerto Rican fighter here, that shit was packed too. Come on. Like, you just got to keep that element to know that we can hit a really broad range on the spectrum for ethnicities. I can't even say that word down here.
Don't even try it.
That one. Ethnicity. I got it.
Ethnicities?
That's the one.
Different ethnicities?
Yeah, same shit. But yeah, it was dope. And I'm glad that I was there, bro. History, man. First time in 20 years.
That's awesome, man.
That was awesome.
I'm glad you were able to go.
Yeah, man. something else that was awesome this weekend, bro, especially between us, right? Because we share a passion of golf, right? Yours is a little bit more crazier than mine.
Yeah.
Some would say.
You're crazy, man.
I'm crazy. Oh, man, you're crazy. The 87th Masters Championship this weekend. Kind of a weird mix of exciting golf and like weird golf because they had the element of having the first day pretty good on Thursday, right? Friday, a little bit of rain, and then Saturday, like, the floodgates open, dog. Had to cancel rounds and shit, like. And,
yeah, they battled the weather.
You know, and we were talking about it a little bit with Jason a little bit before we started the show. Shout out to Jason. He even mentioned it, like, dog, you could tell the vibe was off after the rain, dog. It threw a bunch of people off. And some guys were able to take advantage, like John Rahm, who had a nice early comeback, and some people couldn't, like Brooks Koepka, who never found his rhythm again after that. It was rough, man. Yeah. But you were chiming in like a motherfucker.
I mean, I watched
throughout the whole freaking chat, dog. Shout out Miami Golf Bros 2023. We out there.
I watched a lot, man. I mean, you talk about the beginning of the tournament on Thursday. John Rahm comes out, opening hole. He's on the green in 2, 4 putts for double bogey. That's how John Rahm starts
the Masters
87th Masters. All right, with a 4-putt double bogey on the first. Then fires off a 7-under round on the first day after that double bogey.
Yep.
And obviously put himself in the mix. But then you have, the storylines are always going to be there. Jordan Spieth, can he, make it back to win another green jacket?
Hold on, even some bigger ones. PGA Rory versus Liv.
I was building up to that, so
yeah,
I just kind of swept the rug from right under me. Appreciate that. But
you got to start with that, though.
Great co-host. But yes, storylines are all around it. And then you have the guys that go out late early, because you usually go out either early in the day, Thursday, and then late in the day on Friday, or you go out the opposite, late Thursday, early Friday. The guys that went out late early benefited because they got the best weather. And then Brooks Koepka was one of those guys. He was able to get himself in the mix. He was, I think, 12 under through 36 holes. Having a great tournament, especially with, the win that last week that he had on the Live tour in Orlando or whatever, and all the questions and drama around him and, what he's able to do, where his mindset is at when we saw in the documentary. Full swing, that he was kind of down on himself and wasn't really, believing in himself, and now he's back in contention at the first major of the year at the Masters tournament. This is it. This is the moment where you come back to glory. But the weather just came in ahead of their plans, man, and they had to postpone the third round, and they got pushed to Sunday, so they had to finish up their third round on Sunday. Mm-hmm. So they got more golf in on Sunday. You would think they'd be more warmed up, but as the day went on, Brooks. He couldn't keep up with John Rahm and what he was able to do. And the running joke was, well, that's probably why he went to go play on Live, because they only play 54 holes. They don't play 72. So he would have been champion after 54. Yeah. But that's why the PGA plays 72.
Yeah. It's a very good point to bring up because it's a very real point. But I want to say about Brooks, like, he had talked about how much the Masters meant to him, right? And being able to play in this tournament and be a part of it, because there was a lot of uncertainty before the season had started, whether or not they were going to be able to come back to it and whatnot. And he definitely played like he wanted to win, dog. He was so focused, dog. He was hitting bomb-ass drives, like putting really well. A really impressive performance, dog, against the amount of good golfers that were in there.
The first 2.5 rounds.
For the first 2.5 rounds. Yeah, you know what I mean? But he dominated the first 2.5 rounds. Not that he won it like by a stroke or two, or he was ahead by a couple of strokes. Nah, dog, he had shot a minus 12 over the first 2 rounds?
I think 12 under, yeah. And he was prime, bro. He was like, all he had to do was just really just play par golf. Like, don't give anything away. Don't 3-putt. I remember on Sunday morning, there was a 3-foot putt he had for par, and the announcer goes, oh, he hasn't 3-putt all week. Whoop. What happens?
Of course he 3-putts.
He jinxed him, bro. Of course. And then after that, he had like another 1 or 2 3-putts, in the final round, hours later. So this guy...
He's all over the place.
All over the place. If you can hear that rustling in the background, it's Rocky. He's
the mascot.
It's the mascot for the show. He's a little hyped up right now. But, man, it was a great Masters. Jordan Spieth made a kind of a run the last day. Him and Phil Mickelson were in the same group, and they were just firing off birdies. Phil was managed to tie Brooks for second place.
Freaking Phil. Became the oldest golfer to finish in the top 5. right? 52-year-old. And he also became, what else? Damn it. Also had shot the lowest round ever for somebody over the age of 50.
Correct. And you also had Fred Couples, oldest player to make the cut at the Masters at 63 years old. Rocky, stop. Oh, my God. And what else? What other storyline do we have? Patrick Reed also made the top 5.
How about the biggest one, though?
He had a good performance, and we'll get to that now. It's a sad one. But that made 3 out of 5 of the top 5 were live players.
Yeah.
So that just kind of, it's like they still got some talent, some of the best talent in the world. But the top talent at the end of the day is Jon Rahm.
Yeah, dog.
He's the world number 1 right now, deservedly, after this win.
Bro, he definitely deserves the number 1 spot. Scotty finished in the top 10, right? He tied for the top 10.
Man, he putted so bad.
So bad. Man. So unlikely. He was
still in the mix, too. Hold on 1 second.
Even at Innisbrook, dog, there was a lot of missed putts that he had within that tournament, and then it kind of just continued for him in this tournament because he had to keep like that focus or that level of play in order to keep up with the rest of the pace. My whole thing during the weekend was like for you to be in a real contention, right? Because there was Hovland was in contention for a while.
He got hot the first 2 days, but the weather, I think, was another one that affected him.
That's definitely the biggest thing that changed the outcourse of the tournament, right? Yeah. The weather definitely took away momentum or gave momentum.
Right.
But if you're talking about Jon Rahm, like, he kind of kept himself in the mix in those first 2 rounds, right?
Poised.
Very poised, very in the mix. And then in the 3rd round, again, kept himself close enough to the point where he's like, all right, now I can kind of turn it up here. I'm kind of dialed in. Let's go after this tournament. And you and I have spoken about Jon Rahm and his mission this season. I told you, dog, I feel like he's very focused on winning as many big major tournaments as possible this year.
Absolutely. That's how you separate yourself. Like, it's cool to have, Dustin Johnson's stat, 24 wins on the PGA Tour. That's dope, dog. But you know what's also pretty impressive? Brooks Koepka's 4 major championships.
Yes,
bro. He doesn't have as many tour wins, but he has 4 majors, and that speaks volumes, man, to be able to win that. And also all the runner-ups that Brooks has had in majors, including now this one, another runner-up.
Another at the Masters.
At the Masters, bro. And it's the first one of the season, as far as major championships. You got 3 more. You got the PGA, you got the U.S. Open, and you got the Open. It's going to be interesting to see what these guys can do in those tournaments.
And look, that makes it two majors in 3 years for Jon Rahm, right? He won the U.S. Open.
2 and 2. He won. I think he won last year, didn't he?
2021.
U.S. Open?
In 2021. We're in 2023.
Oh, yeah. Matt Fitzpatrick won the U.S. Open last year.
Yeah. So, but still, super impressive, dog. Two majors in 3 years. Come on, dog.
And he's world number 1. I mean, he wins regularly.
And not only that, dog, and this is why I kind of give Scotty the benefit of the doubt, right? Because the top 5 right now in the world, dog, they're like really close to each other, dog. Like it's basically who can play better this weekend between us 5 to see who gets this number 1 spot. And this weekend, it just so happens to be John, right? Because he played an amazing full tournament, right? He didn't really get rattled by the weather.
One of those guys didn't even make the cut. Rory didn't even make the cut. He played horrible. So his quest for the career Grand Slam continues. And then the other sad thing was, you get our boy Tiger making the cut after Justin Thomas misses the cut. Yeah. Almost like he
that's a hot take.
Fell on a sword for Tiger. Like, don't worry, Tiger, I'm going to keep your cut streak alive. And he just, double bogeys or bogeys the last hole to miss the cut. And then Tiger ends up withdrawing.
Yeah, dog. And, bro, again, that rain.
Yeah.
That cold weather, because it got into the low 40s.
Yeah.
Even Sunday morning was 40 degrees when these guys were teeing off, dog. To finish the 3rd round. That's, bro, if you've never played golf, you know what 40 degrees feels like down here in Miami. Everybody's wearing big-ass fur coats, dog. These guys are out there on a golf course whipping wind, you know what I mean? With a very thin layer on, out there trying to hold a metal shaft, right? To hit a golf ball 200-something yards. It's not easy, dog.
Nah, dog.
And again, you had to withstand that and have that mental fortitude, and I think that's where John definitely separated himself, man. Becoming the 4th or 5th Spaniard to win the Masters.
The 4th one. So you got Jose Maria Olazabal, who was the one that greeted him as soon as he won.
Yeah.
Finished making the putt. You have Sergio Garcia, who won it when Jon Rahm actually made his debut at the Masters in 2017, I believe. Yeah. And the 4th one is the most
famous
one in Sevi Ballesteros, who is John Rahm's idol. And actually, when John Rahm won it, it would have been Sevi's birthday. I don't know what birthday, but it was on his birthday that he won it. So
major.
It was crazy storylines, man. It was beautiful. It was dope to see. Well deserved.
Yeah.
Great performances, from other guys that you see, you love to see. Shout out to a newcomer, so a guy that didn't get paid for his performance, but Sam Bennett, you will get paid. He was the lone amateur that made the cut at the tournament, and he was in the mix, man. He ended up doing really, really well.
In the mix. That man was played in every featured group for the weekend, dog. In the mix.
Yeah, well, the first day they do that as an honorary thing.
Yeah, but he's there.
Then he earned spots after that.
But he definitely earned his spots after that. And by being in that first featured group, he definitely more than held his own, dog.
Yeah, he was playing with Scotty and Max Homa, I think.
Come on, dog. Yeah. And you're talking about world number one, Scotty, at the time.
And Max Homa was, I think, top 10.
Yes, guys. So, like, this kid, man, and his story, dog, after losing his dad to Alzheimer's, having those words on his arm, don't wait to do something, dog, like tattooed, like.
Nah, it was a real feel-good story. And then he talked about it too, like you see his presser, he's like, I don't have the prettiest swing, I don't have the fastest club head speed, I don't have, all this formal stuff or whatever, but he's like, but it's golf. Get the ball in the hole, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
that's what I can do.
Yeah.
And you gotta love that kind of, know what I mean? That realness.
Dog, again, an amazing story, dog. Yeah, he didn't make any money this weekend, but that kid is definitely getting a million more eyes on him right now, for sure. He went back to his school as a hero, right? Because he got back.
He's at Texas A&M, right?
Yeah, Texas A&M, went back as a hero, dog. Had over 50 people waiting for him in the lobby of, like, the building they have for the golf athletic department. Bro.
Yeah. It just sucks. It just sucks he's not going to get paid for that.
Yeah, bro.
I'm sorry. So he can't get paid because of his amateur status,
right,
from the Masters or whatever. Even though he deserves money,
the NIL is coming
from where but the NIL makes things interesting now.
It's definitely coming for that kid,
because now he can get paid immediately. Like, he'll get some sort of deal or whatever.
Yeah, bro. And look, he knows what's waiting for him once he becomes an amateur, a professional golfer, right? But he's definitely a humble kid. He has his head on straight, knows what path he should be taking, and played amazing, dog. And honestly gave somebody who's not necessarily a golfer, deep head type guy, right? Like, if you're just watching it as a innocent bystander, let's say, dog, right? You're at an Easter party and you're watching the Masters and you hear that kid's story, you're definitely going to be inspired, bro. And you're definitely going to tune in even more and be like, you know what? I'm going to follow this little guy's career and see what happens. Yeah, man. Shout out to Sam Bennett, dog. What an amazing weekend for him, dog.
And shout out to Augusta National, man. Hell of a tournament, hell of a championship. I mean, it's like nothing else, man.
Yeah,
I just can't believe we got to wait a whole another year for it.
Yeah, but we got another big tournament coming up soon, right?
We got more tournaments. We got more majors. This is just the first of them, but it's crazy how it works in golf. Like, this is the premier one.
Yeah. Damn, what a great tournament, dog.
It was amazing, dog.
What a great tournament.
It was great.
All right. Now it's time for Miami Heat talk.
Okay.
We got to get into it. The season ended, right? They've won, 3 out of the last 4 games. Actually won 3 games in a row for the first time this year.
Yeah, go figure.
Go figure, right?
Udonis Haslem scoring 20-something points in the final game.
My dog.
But yeah, we finished off, high level, 7th seed. We're in the play-in tournament officially.
Yep.
So that's what you need to know about the Heat.
And the way that they got into it was kind of, I don't want to say backdooring it, but it wasn't a lot of good performances. You have Jimmy doing his thing, right? We beat Detroit on the road right after we were recording. And it was a tough game that he really had to struggle to get that game from the worst team in the NBA, dog. Literally the worst team in the NBA. And, I had a 38-point fourth quarter in that game, led by Jimmy, who had 18 points in the fourth quarter, ended up with 27. If it's not a Jimmy night, it makes it really hard for us to win games. And if Jimmy's not playing, it's hard for everybody else to step up consistently.
Yep.
And in that game,
all season.
Yeah, dog. In that game, if it wasn't for Jimmy, we would have lost. He took over after us being down, I think 101 to 103, something like that. Jimmy took over, made a bucket, and then we never looked back. Then, you get us a very surprising game against the 76ers where offensively everybody's clicking. You beat them 129 to 101, and they weren't really in the match at all, dog. At halftime, it was 67 to 46. Like, when the hell do you ever see the Heat scoring 67 points in the first half? Nah, it just shows you that everybody was on fire from 3. And the Heat have always been a 3-point shooting team. And when they can make them, they're dangerous, dog. You know what I mean? The Hero's hitting them. Strus is hitting them. Gabe Vincent was hitting them. Like, those are things that add up. If you got guys going 5 out of 9, that shit adds up, dog. 15 threes in a game is a lot. 17, 18 is a lot.
And like you said, we don't often have those.
Nah, man.
It's few and far.
Nah, man. It's hard. I mean, Hero was the one on fire that night. He was 5 of 8. Strus, too, shot 50%, 4 of 8 from 3. Like I said, those are the guys that when they're making them, it makes sense that they're making them, right? But we still didn't see Tyler get to the free throw line. He only had 5 free throws, made all 5. He's on a free throw streak, right? Knock on wood, dog. Where he's made, I think, his last 33 now, straight free throws. It's very impressive. I just wish it was happening more often, and he doesn't have to be perfect. I'd rather him shoot 80 free throws in a month, 100 free throws in a month, than just 30 to 40, you know what I mean? But what was concerning that game was Bam being dominated by Embiid. Don't get me wrong, dog. Yeah, Embiid's probably the MVP this year, right? I would vote for him, but Bam just hasn't been the same since the All-Star game, dog. And when you put him up against like a guy like Embiid, dog, like, just shows you the bigness lacks, right? Like the tall factor is definitely an X factor against those two, because Bam just didn't really have an answer for Embiid, dog.
He never does, bro. Anytime we play him, that's always the concern. And if we're trying to run our offense through Bam on certain, strategies and stuff, it's not good, because you got Embiid towering right over him.
Yeah, and then again, instead of going into the playoffs, right, with some type of heavy ass momentum, or at least some string of real good games. You have the tough win in Detroit. You have the surprising offensive onslaught in Philadelphia. You come out and you lose to a Washington team that's whack as hell, dog. You lose 114 or 108. Everybody sits the game, right? No Hero, no Bam, no Butler.
I didn't understand that.
No Kevin Love.
Why do we do that?
My boy Lou mentioned it too. He was like, I don't know why the hell we're not going after it, going after 60. You never know what happens. Yeah, you put yourself in a position where you're hoping Brooklyn loses, right, in order for you to catch them and get ahead of them. Yeah, that's true. But in order for that to happen, even if they do lose, you still have to win games. And you have to give it everything you got to win those games. And, you sit everybody down after a good win like Philadelphia. I just didn't, like you said, I didn't understand it, dog. I didn't understand it. But, yeah, it was bad timing. Dog. They locked themselves into the 7th seed. Washington had been on a 4-game losing streak, so I felt like even if you would have played 2 out of the 3 guys, you would have gotten a good result. I don't know, man. Just a questioning game, right? Kind of towards the end of the season.
Right. It seems like you need every single one. It didn't seem that way. We did need every single one of these games. And to do that late, it's like, why are we not playing any of these guys? Like, is there a reason? Were they hurt? Like, there wasn't an actual reason given.
And then the game that you would think would be a ceremonial game, right? Which was the last game of the season against Orlando, where they get the win 123 to 120. Which happens to be UD's last home game in the regular season, right? And instead of that being the ceremonial game where people are off and whatever, it doesn't matter. You lose to Orlando, you probably already figured out what's happened with the 6 and 7 seed. No, they let people play that game, guy. They start Bam. And in my mind, I'm like, what the F? You're doing this just because. Ass backwards. And you're not even going to start UD. To say, like, coño, por lo menos I started with UD the last game. Not even, guy. You bring them in into the first quarter, which I get allows for the applause and the recognition, but start them, guy. If you're gonna make it the whole thing about UD, make it about UD, dog, and start them, right? Give them that respect with people. Put them in the freaking center for the jump ball, dog. Like, let's get it. You know what I mean? And it just didn't happen. It's very weird. He went out there and balled out, hit 3 threes,
it's crazy.
24 points. Led the team. Had an alley-oop dunk, dog. Like, man went off in his last game, dog. And it was
good. It was good to see that.
Yeah, bro, because he's been such a great representation for the 305, dog, and Miami in general. You know what I mean?
20 years.
20 years in it, dog, has given his blood, sweat, and tears literally for this team and for the city, dog. Like, he's always put us on his back. Like, he's not only a representative of what the Miami Heat are, but every time we're on the road, like, they look at UD and they know, damn, that's Miami right there, dog. Like, yeah, D-Wade's a superstar, LeBron's a superstar, whatever, but that dude right there is Miami. And we got to thank UD for that, dog, as a city, you know, because he's always putting us on the map and in a good, positive light, too, dog. Guy does so much work in the community, helps out so many young players in their NBA journey, you know what I mean? Like you said, he's been in it for 20 years.
And longer, too. I mean, man. He taught Miami High.
Yeah, man.
Right? He was a Gator.
Yeah, bro.
So, you know, he's been in Florida for a long time.
That man has repped and put on, dog. That guy's a legend. We got to name a street after UD, dog. We got to get that going, dog.
Maybe a whole city, dog.
I can't wait to go to the game next year where they hang his banner, his jersey.
Haslamberg. Let's call it Haslamberg.
Something like that. I think, you know.
We'll work on the name.
Adonis Haslam Street, something like that, you know.
The name, don't worry.
We're going to work it out.
I think he deserves his own town.
Let's finish it up with this. They're going to be in the play-in tournament. I was hoping that they avoid it. They get number 8 seed Atlanta Hawks, a team we've dominated this year, right? We went 3-1 in the season series, and we're literally been one of the very few teams who's been able to shut down Trae Young completely every time we play him. It looks very favorable for the Heat, and they should win this game, right? Fuck you, Dolphin. They should win this game, dog. But I something in me, dog, wouldn't be surprised if they lost, dog.
I'm writing that sentiment with you, dog.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm expecting these guys to go out there and win, dog. No bullshit. Don't make it a 1-point victory neither. I don't want no close game. Go out there, beat the Hawks, and then get yourself into a really good position to face the Celtics, dog, where you don't got to play another game. You don't have to worry about, like, oh, coño, we got to face another 19. Are we going to be 8-9? No. Go out there, take care of business, put yourself in a position where you don't have to question anything, and you get ready for the biggest task ahead.
Yep.
Facing an amazing Boston Celtics team, dog. Like, you definitely don't want to face number 1 Philadelphia because we just saw what happened to Bam. At least with the Celtics, we know that they don't have a really big guy who can dominate Bam all game long. It can happen here and there, but it won't be all game long.
I mean, I think either way, we're still talking about a first-round knockout.
Yeah, for sure.
It's not, you can't have a lot of confidence. And yeah, like I was going to say, you know, like all those things, like we expect all those things, but we've seen this team, we followed them all year, and we wouldn't put it past them, you know, to lose this game and get knocked out. You know what I mean? Or have to go out and play on another game and like cost themselves more like trouble than they need to, because this year has just not been a great year for Heat basketball. But it's playoff time. You know, we can win this game. We can reset. Worry about, you know, the Celtics or whatever. And that's a whole nother podcast episode in itself.
For sure. But look, I do expect the Heat to win, but I won't be surprised if they lose.
I'm with you.
You know what I mean? I won't be surprised. But it's going to have to take Jimmy.
But we're winning.
We're winning, but it's going to be on the strength of Jimmy's game, dog.
Everything and everybody.
No, it's going to be all Jimmy, dog. Jimmy's going to have to drop 45 points.
That's a bold take. I like that, though.
Nah, he's going to do it.
45.
He's going to do it. 45 points. You heard it here. I
like that.
You heard it here, dog. Yeah, man, let's wrap this thing up, dog. You know, we got to tell everybody, go check us out and make sure that they're following us on social. I always have a hard time.
Social media?
That one, social media.
Social media, including Instagram, Twitter, YouTube. Hey.
YouTube right now, because I just put up an amazing interview I had with Dak Nugent, man. That dude is a real champion, dog. He's going to be headlining BKFC 38. So go ahead and check that out, man. And if you haven't already, you got to tell a friend.
To tell a friend.
To tell one more friend.
To tell a group of friends.
To tell another group of friends about this amazing podcast we got coming for you from the 305, like George Masvidal and UD, man. Don't wait. Don't slip.
Don't do it.
Don't do it.
And just tune in.
Till next time, y'all. Peace. Don't sleep.